The Love Life and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. If you know what to do, but can't figure out why you're just not doing it, this is the right podcast for you. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to think and eat like a normal eater, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Hey, welcome to episode 87 of the podcast. Today's episode is designed to help you move from fear and sometimes hiding in your weight loss or weight management journey to a place of self-trust. So we have to look at the role fear plays when we think about trying to change our weight and remain there so that that weight is sustainable. What comes up for many of us being future dieters in the realm of restrictive dieting is fear, because the brain knows that restriction is unsustainable. Thinking about good foods and bad foods and everything that I talked about in the previous episode 86 about permission-based eating should show you that there's some work to do in your programmed beliefs. In other words, what you think intentionally about how you're doing weight management differently so that you can address your fears and transform them into self-trust. It's this whole podcast is inspired by, believe it or not, the foundation of my history in modern dance. I had the pleasure of being taught by one of Martha Graham and Doris Humphrey, who was also Martha Graham's student. One of their students, her name was Ernestine Stodell, and I was lucky enough that she had a studio in my hometown in Connecticut. And I studied with her and danced with her for over 10 years. So I learned the dance technique of Doris Humphrey and Martha Graham. And they taught that your practice, right, your dance, you have to engage with it in a way where there's no fear. So this is the quote from Martha Graham. She says, "Never be afraid of the material. The material knows when you are frightened and will not help." So it stayed with me for decades, and it's actually really changed how I relate to my life in terms of trusting my body. This is what I learned that was probably so different from all of my peers who were female, especially growing up. I was taught in that studio to trust the body, and to not only trust the body, but to feel inherently what my body was doing. Modern dance is significantly different than other forms of dance that you might do when you're young. For example, the studio that I learned in was a converted barn. So these big barn doors and stuff had turned into windows. There was not a single mirror in the entire studio. And that was by design, because they wanted you to learn what your body looked like by sensing how you were holding it internally. And they would use a lot of feedback to correct you. Your arm isn't straight, it's bent. Notice this. You're not dancing high enough, or meaning jumping high enough. Your beat is off. So I learned from a young age to really observe my body. So I had all kinds of thoughts about my body, of course. That didn't change. But I had a lot of feedback that I was used to interpreting about my body. And I do believe that this has worked all the way up through the decades and really informs how I'm a body-based coach in terms of weight management. There's a wisdom in the body. And I also think that it's true that your body doesn't have an agenda against you. It's only ever trying to communicate to you what's needed. And our job is to pay attention to what our body is trying to say and become a very good, accurate, intuitive interpreter of what the body is asking of us. So we're going to make a comparison here between her quote about being afraid of the material and being afraid of failing in weight loss. So many of my clients talk to me about fear of getting all the way where they want to go, fear that it's not working, fear that they will regain. Like there's just fears everywhere you look. And this is because, we have human brains. But Martha Graham has tremendous insight here. And she says that we have to actually work with directly resisting the fear itself and not letting it lead the cart, right? You want the horse to lead the cart, not the cart to lead the horse. In other words, fear can come along for the ride, but it's not directing what you do. Hey, it's Heather. Let's pause here for a second because I want to tell you something important. I know you don't need more willpower. You need a better system. That's why I created the Follow Through Planner. It's a digital planner designed for women like you who are ready to get out of all or nothing mindset, diet mentality, and start making real sustainable progress through the work on habit change. Inside the Follow Through Digital Planner, you'll find the tools that I use with my coaching clients to help you plan your week, your days, and stay focused on what matters and really get in practice actually following through without the guilt or burnout. If you're curious about what's inside the Follow Through Planner, visit hbeardsley.com/planner. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/planner to learn more. And if you sign up to be a VIP subscriber, you get 15% off. If you're afraid you're not doing enough, if you're afraid that it's not working fast enough, your weight change, if you feel like you have to constantly push harder to get any results at all, this episode is for you. You need to directly work with your fear. So, in the quote, never be afraid of the material. The material knows when you're frightened and will not help your cause. So, when she talks about the material, she means the practice itself. In terms of dance, that meant the choreography, the movement, and ultimately what the dancer's own body is capable of doing. And in your weight loss journey, the material is you. This is your body and its ability to lose fat, maybe gain muscle, recomposition, right? Your relationship with your foods. The material is your habits, your thoughts, and your emotional patterns around food. It's everything that you're working with to create a new result around your weight and your body composition. So here's where it gets really powerful. When you approach your body, which is the material that we're working with when we ask ourselves to lose fat, the material with fear, with tension, and with the belief that your body isn't responding is going to be uncooperative to the cause of losing fat. That's the analogy here. A body in fear will be less responsive to shed fat reserves, which is its currency for safety when we're not safe. So think about this. You are somebody who wants to change their weight. You're talking about changing the amount of reserves on your body in terms of fat pounds, right? For most of us. And that is a proposition that your body needs to be feeling very safe around. In other words, it wants to know that you have food abundance, that food isn't restricted. It wants to know that you're safe, that you're not overly stressed or chronically stressed. And that I often use this analogy with my clients. I want you to feel like you're the lioness on the savannah in Africa. Meaning the lioness is a machine, right? She can get her food when she wants it. She has the skills, the ability to go and get her needs met. So she's pretty chill and cool, like hanging out on the savannah with her pride, her children, and just chilling out until she realizes she's hungry. And then she gets to work to go get herself food. And when she eats, she doesn't eat the whole animal. She eats until she's satisfied and she leaves the rest for the vultures and the other animals. This is approximately what I want you to create for yourself in your own weight journey. I want you to be the lioness. The lioness isn't waiting to get hungry, worried about if she's going to catch her prey. She doesn't stress herself out. She doesn't work with fear. She works with how am I going to get what I need? She works strategically. She works intentionally. And these are the tools that you will use to transform your default, which for many previous restrictive dieters involves fear, because restricting your way through weight loss is unsustainable and the brain knows it. So we change that dynamic to giving ourselves lots of feedback that we're no longer restricting. We're practicing permission-based eating. We're planning foods that we really want to eat, and then we are bringing integrity to that process by waiting to eat until we're physically hungry most of the time, right? Exceptions are pre-fueling for a workout, like I've talked about before, and stopping at about 70% full to create a slight caloric deficit so that the body is triggered to shed fat, but those conditions of stress are not there that would prevent that fat from being released. So a body that thinks it's under stress or under threat will not release fat. And we know that the science backs this up. This isn't just woo-woo stuff from Martha Graham. Like we know that there are KISS peptide neurons. So these are neurons from your nervous system that go into the fat cell. And these are hyper attuned, especially in the absence of estrogen postmenopausally for postmenopausal women. So if you are, moving, doing your workouts, doing your strength training, and you don't have fuel in the tank, those KISS peptide neurons shut down your ability to lose fat. Why would your body want to lose fat if you're hitting the gas in your workout and there's no food on board? That is an inherently unsafe proposition for the body. You see, the material will not help you when there's fear and when there's, by default, stress as well. So part of your job with your weight loss journey is to create the conditions of lack of stress and figuring out how to transform fear by using your tools of being intentional and planning ahead for your needs so that your brain can relax and not self-stress. Okay? The body is the raw material of the doctor and the physical therapist. Land is the farmer's raw material. The raw material of the good man is his mind, his goal being to respond to impressions the way nature intended. And that's a quote by Epictetus in his book, the book Discourses. I'll read it again. The body is the raw material of the doctor and the physical therapist. Land is the farmer's raw material. The raw material of the good man is his mind, his goal being to respond to impressions the way nature intended, meaning that lioness, right? Who doesn't allow fear to drive her actions. She only focuses on the tools she has and her capability to do what she needs to do. And this is what I want you to do. Have a natural response to fear, which is to pay very little attention to it. It's not real. It's just a feeling created by a brain that is primal in nature and is designed to notice potential threats. So if you have, let's say, a disappointing weigh-in, maybe you even gained weight, you will probably notice a string of thinking that might cause fear for you. I'll never get this. This isn't working. I don't know what I'm doing. This is going to take forever. Why am I even doing this? Who cares? So that's letting the cart lead the horse, the fear lead the dialogue. We have to be people who, once you know that you can think on purpose, no longer allow ourselves to have that automatic narrative drive what you think. You have to question everything that you think, and you have to not let fear lead. So, how fear shows up in weight loss um, is that you will have doubts from time to time. It's not having doubts that matters, it's what you do with the doubts. So, if you let the doubts seed themselves, fester, and grow, that's fear leading the charge for your weight loss, and it will not work. So, I want you to dig deeper because for every challenge that we have, there is data that you can look at to tell you why it's not working. And that's what you need to learn from it. Not just take away from it that it doesn't work and be fatalistic about it, but be scrappy about it and look at your overeats, figure out why you're overeating, do your understanding my overeating worksheet that's in your planner to figure out circumstantially what leads to overeating for you so you can get to the root cause of things. And until meet each one of these challenges and sort of tease out a potential solution, you're going to keep bumping into these challenges that create fear-based thoughts. So we have to work with fear. Fear is the herald that's telling us. It's like a flag waving. Like, you haven't figured this out yet. Dig deeper. Look underneath. What's really going on here? So that is an example of the material and how you're engaging with it. If you're allowing fear to bleed out into everything that you do, you're probably not going to be successful with your weight change. What this looks like, some common signs is trying to rush when you're full of doubts every day and when you grip tightly to results or you resist some of the tools, right? Like if you like know that planning and maybe reviewing your day in terms of food or tracking overeats, if you know it works, but you're at war with yourself about having to do it, this is not working with the material. This is allowing fear to come in and taint the material. And then your body won't feel safe enough to allow the weight to release. So in modern dance, I don't know if you all have ever seen it. It's really kind of funny sometimes to watch modern dance. There's a lot of like showing like emotions or like being like an animal, and it's very stripped down. There's no ballet shoes, there's no mirrors, there's no tutus, there's no prettiness. It's just the body, right? And how the body moves and how the body can be expressed. The breath, the body, right? All coming together to tell a story about something. I remember we did a performance back in the 80s called The Moth. And this star dancer was like being like a moth. It was like amazing. She looked just like a moth. So you could look up Martha Graham and look through some of her famous choreographed pieces that she did that are very expressive. So this is why I say you can't fake it. There's no like frilliness. There's no hiding what's really there. And if you're stiff or uncertain or you're trying too hard to perform, this is very obvious in modern dance. You have to become one with your body. Martha Graham taught that the body holds emotion and it also holds truth. And so if you don't trust your body to carry the movement as a dancer, it won't. And, I've seen countless examples of this in my practice of yoga over the course of 23 years. I mean, I've seen women try to move their body into the back space and do like a heart opening, like a back bend. And that space of opening the heart to somebody who's been through massive heartbreak feels like absolute terror. And there's tears, like spontaneous, absolute sobbing and tears when you put the body in a space to open the heart again. I've seen this happen with grief in opening up the hips. Oftentimes, hips hold past grief or past pain. It gets like locked in the hip area. And everybody is different, and these aren't hard and fast rules, but it is very moving to see the truth of the body and how it is an instrument in which we need to work with it. And I think this is the player in our weight management that we don't pay enough attention to. We give it lip service about the body and paying attention to hunger and enough and all of these things. But a lot of this is surface work. I mean, when you really sit with your body and offer it 100% acceptance and love, it is transformative. It runs really deep for me. It's something that I bring to my coaching all the time. And my sense of like intuition about things comes, I believe, from my reverence for the body and what it gives me, the magic of it. You know, I've had some really amazing things happen in my life because I trusted my gut instinct that has changed the lives of people that I love. That kind of deep relationship with your body of trust can change everything about your weight. You can't force it, and you can't will your body into losing fat through tension, self-hatred, or resistance to how you look. You definitely cannot shame it into releasing weight. Please hear me when I say this. Change only happens when you're fully present and accepting of what is. And how you are in any one moment is just the truth. You look how you look. You have the body mass and body composition that you have. The question is, do you want to be in relationship with yourself, or do you want to be in war with yourself? So rehearse some new patterns with patience and curiosity. Try to move from some of these fear-based patterns that you have into one of partnership with your body. And when you let go of controlling the outcome, what they can then start doing is start being really curious and listening to the wisdom that the body is trying to give you. So some coaching takeaways to give you. Ask yourself, and you can write down some of these questions. Where am I gripping, rushing, or bracing against what I'm trying to create? Where am I gripping, rushing, or bracing against what I'm trying to create with my weight? Is it with the scale? Is it with your food choices? Is it dreading a vacation or a deadline and holding yourself with an agenda for what your weight needs to be by that period of time? Now, based on your answers, what would it look like to trust your body a little more this week in terms of those things? So make it specific and make it tactile to exactly those parts that do feel gripped, rushed, or braced, or like they're full of fear. Just what if you imagine that your body has been waiting for you to cooperate with it your whole life? What if it's been waiting patiently to support you? It just needs the right partner to fit in self-trust rather than fear. So here's a journaling prompt for you. What am I afraid will happen if I stop trying to control the outcome? Take that answer, and that's your work, to work through it and change it from a fear-based thought to one of moving toward self-trust with your body in partnership with your body. And you can use this mantra too. I work with the material, not against it, meaning your body, your plan, your planner, right? Your morning routine, your evening routine, your hunger, you're enough. You work with it, not against it. So just in dance, just like in dance, your body can't release what it's not ready to release. But when you stop fighting things and being locked in fear, and when you begin to partner with your systems, like your planner, right? Your tools that I teach you, and your body itself, that's when the change will be able to flow and release can happen. Those are the right conditions under which release can happen. So this work isn't about pushing harder. It's about showing up more honestly. It's about trusting the process, and your body. Even when results are quiet, sometimes this work precedes weight loss. Like we have to lay down arms against ourselves. We have to really tell ourselves the truth, which is that fear won't get you anywhere. Fear is a terrible strategic partner. No wars were ever won or anything achieved of note with fear at the lead. That was worth having. When you do this and you start to work with the material, that means things are working because you're in integrity. Integrity means to have all parts of yourself be integrated. Fear is there as a tool to show us when how we're approaching things isn't working. And yes, we need to do the work, listen to fear, and get in there. But we're not there to just like give up the fight and focus on the fear. The fear is like, get to work. So thanks for tuning in today. I know that some aspects of this feel maybe a little bit esoteric, like a little woo-woo, but trust me when I say there is nothing that you can't accomplish when you are not divided against yourself. When you use fear as a tool to do the greater work underneath what the fear is trying to say to you. Share this episode with a friend. Write me a review on your podcast player. It really helps people find me. Come journal with me inside the follow through planner, and I'll meet you there. Or over on Instagram, you can find me at Thrive in Midlife and let me know how you found the episode. So until next time, don't let fear lead the charge. Engage with the material in a curious way and don't let fear lead. I'll talk to you soon. Stay focused and so long. Hey, if this episode resonated for you, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe and become a VIP subscriber. You'll learn how to work with me. You'll get 2 free gifts, access to exclusive VIP content, and get a discount on the digital follow-through planner.